Good morning, readers. Today we're starting a new unit right here on Google Classroom. And this new unit is one that's going to sound familiar to you. It's all about reading series books. And one thing we learned when we started writing our own series books and then reading Amber Brown together is that in series books, the author uses the same character in different books. And you really get to know those characters very, very well when you read the different books in the series. It's like watching one of your favorite TV shows, let's say SpongeBob, and you get to know what all of those characters usually act like and the things they do, and you can make predictions using what you know about them. Oh, I know what SpongeBob's going to do next, right? Well, series books are just like that. You get to know the characters very, very well because you're seeing them over and over again in different situations, and they tend to do the same things at certain times. So we're going to continue reading Amber Brown, but before we do, let's talk about what we already know about Amber from reading about her. We're going to talk about her character trait. That means something we can say is true of her most of the time. It's a little bit different from a feeling. And then we're going to talk about how we know that. What's the evidence from the book that tells us that she's like that? It's very important when you decide you know something about a character to think, well, how do I know that? What happened? What did the character do, think, or say? So a few of the things we talked about that we know about Amber is that she's messy. We know she's messy from a few different things that happen. She loses her tickets to China when her class pretends to go on a trip. She makes a big mess with the glue when Justin and she are working on projects. I have that all written down here. And she finds a sandwich in her desk that's been there for a while. We even made our own sandwiches based on that, but we didn't leave them in our desk for weeks. Another thing we said we knew about her is that she's impatient. When somebody upsets her, she sometimes feels like hitting them. Sometimes she'll say things that are really angry. For example, one evidence is that when Hannah told her that she thought she looked like she'd just gotten up out of bed in her passport picture, Amber felt like grabbing Hannah's ribbon right out of her hair. So she's not very patient. Most of us wouldn't be in those circumstances, but Amber is particularly impatient. Another thing that we've talked about is that she's a good friend. She and Justin are very, very close. They're a team. They work very well together, and she's very upset that he's leaving. So she's a loving person, and she's very, very a good friend and very close to Justin. So today, I'm going to begin a new chapter. Let's just talk about what happened in the chapter before so that we remember. We read that Amber was having a very, very bad year, even before she found out that Justin was going to move. Her parents were fighting. They then told her that they were getting divorced, and they did. And then her father announced that he had to leave to move to France because his company was moving. So Amber was having a very bad year. And then on top of it all, her best friend Justin is moving to Alabama. And he's been ignoring her lately. She goes over to his house, but they're busy packing and doing other things. And so he hasn't been paying her much attention. So keeping that in mind, we're going to start by reading chapter 7. And in chapter 7, Justin comes back to class. I'm going to stop at some points, and I'm going to think out loud about something Amber did or said or thought that tells me what she's like. And I'm going to stop and give you a chance to do that too. And then you might write about it using one of the Google forms below. All right, so chapter 6, I'm halfway through a worksheet on fractions when Justin walks into class. I'm so glad not only that he's back, but that he can help me to understand what to do with this fraction, question mark over 6 equals 2 over 3. He sits down at his desk. I hand him the box of wooden fraction pieces. Welcome back. He smiles and looks over at my worksheet. The answer is 4. Mr. Cohen comes over, hands him a worksheet, and says, welcome back. How's it going? Great. Justin reaches into his knapsack and pulls out a pencil with Alabama written on it. This is for your collection, Mr. Cohen. Great, I think. Here I spent all of this time missing him, and he says things are going great. Justin smiles. A lot happened. Leaning down, Mr. Cohen quietly asked Justin, "Later, would you like to tell the class about what's happening? You certainly don't have to, but if you want to, it might be fun to share." "Sure," Justin nods. As Mr. Cohen walks away, I wish that he hadn't said that to Justin. I want Justin to tell me first, not to have everyone find out at the same time. I look over at Justin. He's doing the math work very quickly. I look down at my math and then start chewing on the stub of a pencil. I'm thinking, Amber's chewing on a pencil. And I remember that in another chapter, when she was upset, she was chewing on her hair. These are nervous habits that some people have. So one thing I would say about Amber is she gets nervous sometimes. And the evidence I have is that she chews on things. It would have been nice if Justin had given me a new pencil too. Finished with his math, Justin picks up my paper and checks it out. He finds 2 mistakes, shows me how to do it correctly, then helps me finish up. Fractions are not my favorite thing. In fact, they're one of my least favorite things. The only thing I hate more are 1, Brussels sprouts, 2, watching kids pick their nose, and 3, having people I love leave. So Amber's thinking about the things she really hates, and one of the things she hates most is when people really leave her, when people leave her. So that makes me think that another thing that Amber feels, another trait we can say that Amber has, is that she feels very hurt and abandoned. Abandoned is when you feel like people that you love and need are leaving you. So I'm going to say from what Amber just said that she's hurt and she feels kind of abandoned. Now, usually those are feelings, and we say feelings are different from traits. But in this case, I think it's become something very big about Amber. Her father left her. Now Justin's leaving her. So this has become something that's really a part of her personality. She feels hurt and worries about being abandoned. And I know that because her father left her, Justin left her. She said that made it the worst year of her life. And that when there's talk about Justin leaving, she gets very angry. Instead of acting sad, like most of us might, or many of us might, I should say, or crying, she gets angry. So this hurt of hers and this feeling of abandonment, it's hard for her to just let it show. So she shows anger with it. So that's what I'm going to say about her now. Let's read on and see if you can find any character traits and the evidence for them. Mr. Cohen flicks on and off the lights. Take a minute to finish the problem you're working on and raise your hand if you want me to come over and explain anything. You can finish this up for homework. People finish up. Justin and I are already done. We play tic-tac-toe. I win. We enter the win on a scorecard that Justin keeps in his desk. We've been keeping track since the beginning of the school year. I'm ahead, 222 to 199. So that makes me think Amber's a little competitive. She likes to win. The lights flick on and off. Clear your desk, get ready to pay attention. Justin is going to tell us about his trip. Everyone gets ready, and Justin goes to the front of the room. I'm sure that he's not going to tell them everything, that there will be some stuff that he just tells me. Justin begins. We left very early on Saturday morning. He's wearing a brand new sweatshirt, one that says Alabama. That's where he's moving. Personally, I don't like the sweatshirt. I wish he had on a sweatshirt that I know. He continues. The airplane trip was really fun. Before the plane took off, the flight attendant let me go up front and see the cockpit and meet the pilot. They gave me wings to wear. Like an angel, Jimmy calls out. So where's your halo? Jimmy, Mr. Cohen uses his teacher cut-it-out voice. Wings, Justin points to the pin on his sweatshirt. And then we sat down, and the plane went up, and this lady in front of us threw up in the barf bag. Ew, yuck, gross, yeah, are a few of the comments from the class. The comment from Mr. Cohen is, Justin, continue please without all the gory details. Justin continues. He talks about meeting his dad at the airport, about the motel they stayed at, with a game room, swimming pool, room service, and everything. Then he tells us how Mr. Daniels had been looking at lots of houses, and they all went to check the ones that he liked best. And they found one that they all liked. They picked it out the very first day. I thought buying a house was supposed to take a long, long time. Justin tells us how big the house is, how he and Danny are going to have their own rooms, how his mom said that he could put up baseball player wallpaper in his room, and how there was a special area in the backyard with a basketball hoop. Any other kids there, Hannah says? Brandy gives Hannah's arm a shove. What's that for? Hannah rubs her arm as if she's been run over by a bulldozer. I just asked a simple question. Brandy looks over at me. I stare ahead as if nothing's bothering me. And to prove that I'm not upset, I repeat Hannah's question. Any other kids there? That's interesting. Amber just said she wanted to prove that she was upset. Hannah asked a question that might be very upsetting about other friends Justin might make. And Amber is trying to show that she's not upset, even though we know she is upset. What would you say that says about her? That she's trying to act like she's not upset when she is upset. So what's the character trait that shows, and what's your evidence? I want you to think about it. So what I think is that Amber really doesn't like to show weakness. She doesn't want anybody to know when she's feeling weak or hurt. So Amber's, maybe we might call that a little bit tough. She doesn't want anybody to know, even when she's very hurt. And how do we know that? What's the evidence? She tried to pretend that she wasn't upset, even though she's very upset about Justin leaving, and Hannah had said something that could be very upsetting. Did you think of that? Great. If you thought of that, you're getting really good at using the evidence in the text to think about what the character's like, to really get to know the character. Let's finish the chapter now. Justin nods. Lots of kids. Next door, the family has 5 kids, 2 old enough to babysit for Danny, 1 my age, John. They call him Junior, and 1 Danny's age, Jim Bob. Twins? Tiffany Schroeder asked. No, Justin explains. A lot of people there have 2 first names. Great, I think. Next thing, we're going to have to start calling him Justin Bob. Justin goes on. He tells us about the university where his dad works, how there's a great game room, and how there's lots of stuff to do. Then he tells us all about the school they visited, and the school that's going to be his new school. He goes on about how they not only have desks, but they have their own lockers, and how it was just built a few years ago, and about how instead of just 1 third grade class like we have at our school, there are 4 third grades, and how you don't have to bring your own lunch because it's a cafeteria that serves complete meals, and how the school even has air conditioning. Justin keeps blabbing on. I keep waiting for him to mention the very important thing that his new school and neighborhood doesn't have. Me. But he never does. Wow. So Amber must be really hurt. In the Google form below, I'm going to give you a link to a book that you're going to take a look at. It's a book called Frog and Toad, and some of you may be familiar with it. I want you to open the link. There's a password to get on the link. I'll post that too in the Google form. I want you to start by taking a look, a sneak peek. Remember, we took sneak peeks at the beginning of the year, at the cover and the pictures. And I want you to think about anything you notice, and I want you to think about anything you wonder. And then I'm also going to post the pages that I want you to read. I'm going to ask you to read a few pages and then add to the things you notice and the things you wonder. Because Frog and Toad is another book in a series. And so we're going to get to know Frog and Toad. What are they like? And we're going to read a few Frog and Toad books together and talk about that. So let's start by doing that today. You'll click on the link, put in the username and password, begin by taking a sneak peek, writing what you notice and you wonder, read a few pages, add to what you notice and you wonder, and we'll meet back here again tomorrow. All right? See you later, readers.